guys, picture the scene. You and your partner have been invited to the opera. And you get all dressed up and you move to your car and you drive to the theatre and you get out and there's the reception area with the chandeliers and the sound, excitement and enthusiasm. And things are building up. You can sense the anticipation in the audience. And you can almost hear the orchestra tuning up in the distance. And then the doors open and you're asked to walk in. And as you walk in, you realize that the hall is full of people and they're applauding you. And you were supposed to walk up to the front. And as you walk up to the front, you can't find your seat, but the hall is full of people. And you get to the front and they say, "Up here, sir." And you get up onto the stage and they give you a violin. And you've never played a violin in your life before. And you expect to turn around and look at this audience and start playing the violin. Can you picture that? That's exactly what I'm feeling like right now. You guys are the professional speakers. I'm not a professional speaker, although if I do get a bit of supper later, then I can declare that I'm a professional speaker. Just a little bit of history for myself just before we get going. I had been in the information business my whole life. I'm a chemical engineer. I know there are a couple of engineers here. And after 10 years of chemical engineering stuff, I started an IT company within a big corporate. And the IT company wrote software products. And those software products became very successful. And we sold those software products to the major companies like BHP Billiton, the Escoms of this world, most of the mining companies around the world. And what was exciting for me about that was it was all ideas. We had ideas. This was a small team based in Durban, writing software that was used by the biggest corporations in the world. Now, the software was, coincidentally, very coincidentally, in the area of safety. So I know we've got a couple of very nice things moving through this. But I reached a point in my career where I thought, every single day, there are tens of thousands of people around the world using software, which was once a small idea in my mind, to work safer in the mines in Africa, in South Africa, and in Australia. That was such a boost to your personal satisfaction and feeling of achievement. And then at some point in time, one morning I woke up and I really felt nervous about this. And I sat down at my desk and I wrote a letter. And I took that letter to the office and I put it on the HR manager's desk, my letter of resignation. At the time I was the director of product strategy of a business. I had been a managing director and I was on the executive team and I was responsible for a complete team. Why did I decide to step off that corporate treadmill? Well, what was it that triggered this need for me to do something different? In essence, what I wanted to do was to recreate that experience. To take that idea, that information idea, and now with the opportunity that has been presented with the new media and the new world of online technology, bring a new idea to the world. And I think it's that sense of self-motivation that drives each and every one of us at different stages in our career, of course, to strive for something new, to create an experience that's going to make an impact. You have something to say, you want to say it in a way that reaches people and has an impact in their lives. And that's exactly what I was doing. I stepped off the cliff. And you asked us earlier to do an elevator pitch. I had to do my elevator pitch while falling, free fall, off the cliff. I can't describe exactly what it is that I do right now, except that I'm in search for the new formula where I can take an idea and I can use the online technology that I'm very familiar with and I can bring it to an international audience. And I think as speakers and as authors, you're all the same. You're wondering if in this new world of technology, what idea can you bring to your audience and how can we leverage this new technology to do that more effectively? In essence, this is the most remarkable time in history. You know, one day you're going to turn back and say to your kids and your grandchildren, you know, I was there. This is as profound as the information revolution, industrial revolution. This is the information revolution. You are in the business of information as professional speakers, as authors. And you're in the middle of this greatest revolution, I think, since the history of mankind. And you have the opportunity later in life to turn around and say, I was there. So what are you going to do with this opportunity? I think like most of us, we feel overwhelmed. We are fixated by the noise. I sometimes think of myself, what would I feel like if I stood in the stadium, picture the World Cup, the vuvuzelas are going, 80,000 people crammed in that stadium, blowing their vuvuzela. And you standing there with your vuvuzela, and you're trying to make an impact. You're just getting drowned out. And that's exactly what's happening in the digital world now. There are somewhere close to 600 million websites out there right now. I think another statistic, close to 40% of America's assets are in the form of intangible assets. That's intellectual property. This is huge. It is totally overwhelming, and as authors, as speakers, we wonder how can we respond to this. I mentioned earlier that I've stepped off the corporate treadmill. And my vision for myself, and I think it will be for many of you, some of you are in this mode, some of you are entering this mode, is to create for yourself what's called a portfolio lifestyle. The portfolio lifestyle says that I want to work on my terms. I want to be working as a professional, making money, but I also want to balance that with the other things that drive me as a human being. I want to invest time in my family, in the people that are important to me. I want to, at some point in my life, give back to the community around me. You cannot achieve those goals, in a corporate world. So the growth of what we call the portfolio lifestyle. Retirement as a concept is dead. And most people, apart from the fact that they've not saved enough for retirement, it is actually something that was invented in the 70s. That you work for 20 years or 30 years career and then you retire. And then you enjoy all your savings and you bring you take that cruise around the Mediterranean and all those good things. The reality is a person like me, and I'm at the point where I'm too young to retire, but too old to stay doing the same old thing. I'm seeking a new life. And I think when I look for opportunities, how can I get my message out there? I look at the online world and say, how can I make a difference amongst all of these vuvuzelas? So the structure of my discussion this evening is going to be, I'm going to give you 5 trends, things that I've picked up, just to give you some context. And then I'm going to give you 10 quick points, almost pointers, as to how you can, in your own mind, take on this new world of information. Now, guys, you're writing notes. You are the experts. Each and every person here is going to know every single thing that I'm telling you. Perhaps the value that I can add is that I can put it all together. I can put a few dots on the page and you can join the lines yourself. Each of these points could take a whole day in its own right. And you've heard it all before. You might say, hey, Gavin, you're naive. We've been doing this for a long time. And that might well be true. But just bear with me. Try and join the dots. Try and see the pattern. Try and see the golden thread. So the first major trend that I've realized is that the value of information is becoming meaningless. Information is now available for free. Does anybody here know the difference between information and advice? Think to yourself deeply. What is the difference? Information is a commodity. Information can be got freely. A friend called Google. Advice is something else. Advice is something personalized. It's targeted at the need of your customer. Information is becoming free. Good advice is becoming priceless. Now, just to reinforce it, I gave a guest lecture to the students at Rhodes University. Information Systems final year honours. Incredibly, I sat at my home office with my little microphone and my computer, and I delivered a guest lecture to 28 students on the other end of the internet. And this was becoming normal in Rhodes University, that particular course, that they could call a guest lecture to come in, and an expert who sat at home and could communicate. But one of the difficult questions I asked them was, how could you solve this particular problem? And I was watching the chat window, and the chat window just filled up. Google, 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 Google was the answer. This new generation that's sitting at university now doesn't see facts as being something that are that valuable anymore, because Google is your friend. You can get any information or any fact you need just by going to the web and searching. So that is the mindset of the next generation that reinforces information is becoming free. So where is the value then? I spent quite a lot of time thinking about how value is created in information. The next big trend out there is the concept new media, the tools of knowledge. Ever since the beginning of time, humans have walked this planet with the need to communicate meaningfully with each other. That's nothing new. You know, people want to express fear, they want to express emotion, they want to express love, they want to express something to each other. What's happened in the last millennia is the tools have changed. But as the tools change, we must always remember that fundamental elements of communication don't change. We need to connect with people. And you know, using tools like Jürgen's, Jürgen's a wonderful guy, by the way. I had an interesting meal with him, and he looks at you with his one eye. It's almost like creates a personal connection. This is his disability. And he says, this is how it helps me connect with people, because people's, you know, sort of somehow they see me in a different light, because my one eye keeps looking differently. He's a wonderful guy. Let me move on to the next one, the agile career. I've noticed in the world of careers that people, especially the younger generation, are getting far more mobile and have far less of an expectation of a job for life than was ever the case before. In the IT world, we have a term called agile, and agile means you move software development rapidly through different cycles so that you meet the needs of your customer much more effectively. In the world of professional jobs now, people have to change their career direction regularly in order to meet the needs of a changing marketplace. So people no longer work for a job for life, I don't think you know this, but most people are expected to work 12 to 14 jobs over their career. Those graduates that enter the new world. The next trend that I wanted to highlight is that everyone becomes an entrepreneur. You know, in the past you could work for a company, and the company gave you that structure and environment in which to work. But now what I'm noticing is that it's far more about the individual's attributes, not the company. It's you, person. It's not the business. You have to be able to craft your own value proposition as an individual and not rely on what the business does around you. So everybody is now becoming an entrepreneur, whether you're working for a company or not. Within a company, you're expected to come up with new ideas, new concepts, to manage the business in the world of change. But if you're an entrepreneur outside of the business, you also have to do the same. So people are becoming their personality, or their person is becoming the focus. And as people, they then have networks with other people. And it's that connection between people and people in the networks that is now becoming more important, or most important. So as a speaker, as an author, I think you already know the power of personal branding and the importance of being able to articulate your own personal value proposition. But if you're looking at a person inside a corporate environment, they're not aware of this yet. It's starting to emerge on them that they need to start doing this, creating their personal brands and becoming known as an individual, not as a cog in a big machine. And the final trend that I wanted to highlight is something that you've heard Dr. Codrington speak. You will know about generation. My daughter at university is one of these. My son, who's still at high school, he's one of those two. They grew up in a world where technology is normal. They have never been in a situation where they had to read books to find facts. They never had to search things. They don't even remember vinyl albums. My daughter is intrigued with my collection of records up in the garage. And one of these big CDs. You know, they've not been through the transition from radio to vinyl to CDs, to MP3 players. They've grown up in a world where this stuff already exists. It's part of their fabric, it's part of their being. What this means, though, in our world, is that this generation of people are now moving into business with a brand new expectation of how the world should work, how they should be educated, how they should be taught, how they should be managed in the workplace. So back to the overwhelm. Let me offer 10 pointers to end on that you can perhaps consider in your journey towards being effective in the new digital age. Number one, recalibrate your goals. Goal setting is vital, and as anybody who's a coach and anybody who teaches people, who's part of people development, will understand that getting people to understand their personal goals and aspirations is vital. What I'm saying here is you need to recalibrate your goals. Understand your new goals in the context of some of the trends that I've spoken to you about. The new age of technology, the opportunity that's being provided to you to reach more people using new tools. Goal setting is vital in order to understand what it is that you want out of life. And you have to do that regularly. You need to do goal setting at least once a year. Myself, I do it twice a year, every 6 months. And it was through one of these goal setting exercises that I realized this is what I need to do. I need to walk away from a high-paying corporate executive job to approach the next opportunity. And I had to recalibrate my goals. And it wasn't just the dissatisfaction of the working environment. It was the appreciation of the great opportunity that this new world of digital media was offering me to get my message out there. The next one you will recognize. Everybody talks about it. But think about it in the context of the new digital world. Because you can reach a much wider audience now, you have to be much more focused and clearly define what your niche is. In the past, your niche might have been easy to define because the people around you. If you lived in a certain city and people couldn't travel between cities, then you could carve a niche based on geography alone. In the new digital world, your information, your ideas are now going to be out there competing with millions of other people. So you have to be extremely focused on your niche. Now, when it comes down to developing your value proposition, you need to know what it is that you do well. Now, this might sound easy. Most of you think, oh, yeah, I'm an engineer, I'm a safety advisor, I'm a legal advisor. But for me, it's actually proven to be very, very, very difficult. I've got a blank sheet of paper in front of me, 25 years business experience behind me. How do I define that specific thing that I'm really good at? And it's not evident. Am I an engineer? Is that too broad? Am I an IT manager or CIO? Am I a business development manager? Where is the area that's going to resonate the most with my potential audience? Remembering that my potential audience is around the world. You know, it's like the old days when you had a radio and you used to tune, you pops and crackles. Crackle and tune. It was like whistles. And all of a sudden the station would blare through. Now, I've been blogging for 2 years. And 80% of my blog posts disappear. It's like they call it crickets. Nobody reads them, nobody listens, nobody hears them. And every now and again, I write a blog post that goes mad. The other day I wrote one about software development, and it just went mad on LinkedIn. So it's like I was tuning that radio, all of a sudden I hit that peak. That was the niche where there was a need. And the next week I tried to write a follow-up article and it was back to crickets. So what I'm saying is that your niche is very important to define because it can be very, very sharp and very, very narrow in the digital world to get noticed. The next one is a deeper one. And I could really spend a lot more time on this, but I'm not going to. That is to really understand value. You know, value is not the price people pay for something. Value is almost the principle of reciprocity. If you give somebody something for free, again and again and again, eventually that person will turn around and say, I really appreciate what you've done for me, I'm going try and reward you. I want to buy your product. I want to pay. In the online world, it's very much like that. Online marketing is very much about giving value to your audience as often and as repeatedly as possible, so that you build their trust in you as an advisor to them, and to the point where they want to reciprocate by paying you. It's a different notion of value to what we might have had if we were selling physical products. Selling information products is premised on trust and the feeling of the need to reciprocate because you're giving so much value. So having done those things, and spiritual niche, and value, you need to craft your value proposition. Now, value proposition is who you are, what do you do, for who do you do this, what the problem is that you're solving, and what the intended outcome is. That's what we would call an elevator pitch, the thing that we all did earlier. But if you're going to go online and make a bigger impact in the digital world on an international level, you've got to really be able to craft your value proposition very, very clearly that is aligned with your goals and aligned with your niche. Managing your digital brand. So many people leave their digital personas to chance. I'm an ex-manager, so I used to employ people. And the first thing I would do is look and do a Google search and look for that person on Google. If I'm going to recruit a software developer into my business, I need to know everything about that person, because if you bring a bad apple into a team, you can destroy the entire team. So my source as an employer is to go online and have a look. Now I think for you, most of you as speakers or authors will have websites. You understand the value of a digital online presence. If you haven't done it, have a look at your digital brand. Be intentional about it. Decide what you want people to see when they go and have a look at your website, and work intentionally on that. 6 months ago, if you had looked at my photograph, I would have been in a checkered shirt in my garden because I was on sabbatical, I was on holiday. And then I decided, no, I'm going to be serious about this, because my LinkedIn photograph is going to be seen by professionals who will one day become our future customers. So then I decided to put a jacket on. That very small change shifts the perception of people that are looking at my LinkedIn profile sufficiently for them to suddenly perceive me as somebody with much higher value. I'm not a guy loafing in my garden anymore. I'm now a professional who's willing to come and do professional work. And I think you need to do that. You need to be intentional. I've seen the evidence here amongst the people in this room that there's a very strong attention to personal branding, and that's good. But it's not always the case. And especially that new generation of millennials, they don't understand this. They don't understand that their Facebook photographs are going to become evidence in future when people have a look whether they want to be employed or not. So manage your digital brand. Point number 6. The value of telling you that I'm going to give you 10 points is that you know that you're more than halfway. Create your digital platform. 5 minutes. Create your digital platform. If you want to find out more about digital platforms, I highly recommend a book by a guy called Michael Hyatt. He's an American author. The book is called Platforms, Get Noticed in a Noisy World. And it talks all about how you can create a digital platform from which you can grow your online business. And it's all around the importance of having a website with valuable content on it, and the way you promote your website and to reach your initial audience.
What's the name again, please? Platform?
Platform, Get Noticed in a Noisy World.
Thank you.
I think it's that.
Right, thank you.
Michael Hyatt. A fantastic book, because it talks about blogging. It talks about the need to get yourself a website and how easy it is for you to do it. This is not something you need a company to go and do for you. Each and every person in this room, myself included, can build a website nowadays. It's readily available, free tools to get themselves a good online platform. If you're an author, your platform is the base from which you launch your book. If you're a speaker, your platform is the base from which you launch your product, the things we were talking about earlier, your speaking. Master your new tools. I'm not going to spend that much time on, but in my practical experience over the last couple of months, I bought myself a microphone, good quality microphone. I bought myself a mixer board. my intention is to start podcasting. Or if not podcasting, to start teaching people using audio. Because many professionals, which is my target audience, spend their time traveling to work. And if you come to Mount Edgecombe from where I live in Kloof, spending at least 45 minutes every day in your car. A podcast or an audio training course is perfect for that type of profession. So I want to master that. In order to master that, I need to know the tools of podcasting. I need to get the right equipment. Not only do I have to get the right equipment, but I have to know how to speak in a microphone. So I have to learn those skills. And this is all something that you need to do intentionally if you're going to move in this direction. Now, not everyone here is going to want to podcast, although I suspect that as professional speakers, the audio is going to be one of your mediums of communication. But you could also be considering blogging. There are other things you can do as well. So understand your tools. Study business and information. Most of you have businesses, and you know the importance of collecting money and getting your debtors down. You understand how to price things and all these sorts of things. The world of information business is no different from any other business. You need to have products, you need to have customers, you need to sell it, you need to be able to collect your money. In the online world, things might be slightly different. You have online shopping baskets, or you might have an online subscription to your membership site. You might have online marketing and online sales, which means that people can buy your products while you're asleep. You need to understand all of that if you're going to be doing business online. Now, why is that important for you? Because as you take your speaking career to a new place in this new digital world, you might be wanting to offer your speaking, your coaching message as an online course, for example. And you want people to be able to find your course, you want to be marketing to them, you want to have people being able to buy your course online while you sleep, you want all the Forex transactions to happen automatically. You want to wake up in the morning and see a little email that says your PayPal account has been credited with $10,000 overnight while you sleep. What a wonderful world that would be. Second last point, find your voice. Now, many of you as speakers already have your message, have your voice. And if you've been practicing speaking for a long time, you know how you come across. Your voice is your personality, the way you express your message. When you're in your comfort zone, it flows naturally. You're not trying to pretend to be somebody outside. So authors often find problems finding their voice. They try and write in a style which isn't theirs. They try and pretend to be somebody they aren't. It can take a long time to write, to communicate, to speak in a way that is truly authentic. That's called your voice. And you need to practice this. Now I'm speaking to the converted here. If I was speaking to people who are considering a speaking career or career as an author, I would suggest to them that they start blogging, because blogging helps them understand their message, understand how to communicate. And it might take many months or even years before they truly get their voice and get their message fine-tuned so that they come across authentically. And the final point that I wanted just to point you towards is consider creating products. Now, this is not exactly the sorts of products that we saw earlier with Jürgen. I think those are very, very creative. What I'm talking about when I say create products is to find a way to leverage your time so that for every hour you invest, you can earn 5, 10, 20 hours worth of revenue. And those additional earned hours must be in the form of products. Now, those products could be, I think Richard earlier mentioned that he has DVDs that you could record once and sell multiple times. An online training course, prepared once, sold multiple times. As a consultant, if you're doing consulting work, prepare templates for everything you do so that somebody else can use the template and do it multiple times. And you can earn a percentage of that. The whole creative product mindset must be part of your personality if you're going to succeed in this online world. Because if you have to constantly show up to make money, that's not a scalable business model. You're on a treadmill of your own creation. You're going to be working for yourself. You're not going to be working on your company. Bonus point, select 5 people that you really look up to and spend a lot of time with them. Because somebody said that you're going to become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if you want to get yourself stretched, get yourself into a mastermind group, or whatever it takes, but network with people who are more experienced than you, because they are going to challenge you and they're going to pull you forward. So in conclusion, that wave that you saw in the beginning, you can look at this wall of online information as a threat, or, like here, you can see it's an amazing opportunity. Peaceful, tranquil, a portfolio lifestyle that allows you to do the things that are most important to you and spend time with the most important things in your life. It's all about how you approach this information age and those 10 steps that I just said.